Over the past few days, we have seen a rise of protests throughout the country nationwide, pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses, including Columbia University. You were at Columbia over the weekend, so can you tell us about your experience there?
Sure. So, the ADL is the oldest anti-hate organization in the country. We focus on fighting anti-Semitism and all forms of bigotry. We've seen issues on college campuses for years, but I've really never seen anything like what I witnessed firsthand at Columbia. So I was there right off of the campus on Amsterdam Avenue. The campus is in the middle of the Upper West Side. It is flanked by major streets. And there on the sidewalk, right in front of the entrance at 115th Street, was an angry throng of protesters, most of whom were wearing full masks, so you could only see their eyes. They had drums, they had noise machines, they had flags, and the chants were from the river to the sea, Intifada, which is, the violent uprising that killed 1,000 people. Intifada is the only solution. More stuff like that was clearly hostile. I met with NYPD on site, who described the protesters yelling at them, cursing at them, using very vulgar language. And then after seeing all this myself and walking the perimeter with law enforcement, I actually went to the Hillel and met with Jewish students. The Hillel is the Jewish center on campus. And what I heard from these kids, from these young people, was absolutely stunning. And I thought just completely unacceptable.
Can you talk a little bit about that? What did you hear specifically from the students?
Well, there must have been about 80 students, and I was, again, part of a listening session where they shared their stories from the last few days and weeks and months. And I heard stories about students being spit on, students having liquids hurled at them, students having rocks thrown at them, students being followed and stalked on their way out of campus, students being told, physically threatened, hearing things like, "We're going to do 10-7 to you, we are going to Hamas you," and just being hurled epithets and curses at them, "You effing Jew," get rid of the Zionists, kill the Zionists, things that are just, I think, fairly unimaginable and inexcusable in any context, let alone on a college campus. There is a large tent, encampment that's been set up by these quote unquote protesters. And let's talk about the terms we use in a minute. And at this encampment, they won't allow Jewish students inside. So literally, these students block your ability to enter if you're not vouched for by someone inside the tent area, even though they're all Columbia students. They have free reign on campus. And yet the students have made it a no-go zone for kids identified by, are you wearing a Jewish star on your neck? Because if you are, then you can't come in. I mean, it's crazy. I think I've seen this kind of stuff overseas. I've never seen it here in America before, which gets me to the point, we need to be smart about how we describe these people. These are not protesters who are there to demonstrate their dissatisfaction with a particular policy. These are activists and agitators, some from campus, many from off of campus, who have snuck onto Columbia's grounds. These are also not pro-Palestinian, individuals. They are pro-Hamas. These individuals are literally, there was one woman standing up holding a sign, I saw the picture, in front of some Israeli, or I don't know if they're Israeli or not, but Jewish students holding an Israeli flag. And the woman had a sign and it said, "Al-Qassam, your next target." Al-Qassam is the military arm of the Hamas. I mean, so let's just make sure that we're, talking about it as it is, not as we want it to be. These are not protests, they're activists and agitators. These are not pro-Palestinian, they are pro-Hamas. And that's really different. I mean, because they're not protesting to say, let's have a two-state solution, or let's have peace talks, or let's rebuild Gaza. This is all about destroying the state of Israel, and this is all about menacing and threatening their Jewish classmates.